Welcome to the Bank Marketing Show, the podcast that engages and informs you for success in today's marketplace. It's the show that will make you a better marketer with trends, tactics, and inspiration from experts and industry leaders. If you're wanting to impact your personal success and position your bank as the best choice in your market, you're in the right place. Now let's dive into today's show with your hosts, Chris and Dan.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to another unique episode of the Bank Marketing Show. We are very glad to have you with us as always. And this will be a unique and fun one because I'm Chris Bates, one of the hosts, Dan Novalis. Hello. The other co-host of our show. And we are actually together on location rather than in Missouri and Mississippi.
Or 500 miles apart or whatever.
Exactly.
It usually is, yeah.
Yeah. So we decided before the show started today that this was just like a sports center.
Yeah.
Right. You never know where it's going to be. And we happen to be in Denver together at a marketing agency.
We go where the action is.
There you go. That's
recording from the center of the action. Yeah.
That's exactly right. So, so we're coming to you live and on location from Denver, Colorado. It's freezing cold outside and kind of a nice break because back home in the South, it's not right now at recording time. So, yeah. So this is a lot of fun to be together, Dan, and good to be able to do this. And I'll be
after a year and 30 some odd episodes to actually do one in person.
There you go.
Nice change.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and we are going to dive into a really cool discussion today that some of the thinking around the marketing conference that we're a part of right now came out of around strategy. And I think this will be a great conversation.
Yeah. We're here thinking about strategy for, our own businesses, strategy for our clients' businesses. So, it's good to, if we can get out of the normal day-to-day of meetings and, running around and doing actual deliverables and get some time to think about our businesses, it's always helpful to kind of propel us forward. And I think the same thing's true for banks, in bank marketing, right? You get so ingrained in the day-to-day of, I got to get this Facebook post up, I've got to get this, flyer taped to the drive-through, like all the little things. And, it's hard to find time to sit back and think through the strategy, or what do you do with all the ideas you have through the day? When do you get time to sit back and organize them?
There you go. So that's what we want to ask all of you financial institution leaders that are listening today is to take a pause, right?
Yeah.
For the next little bit while we have this conversation, and I guess pretend that you're away from your home office, take your hands off the keyboard for a few minutes and let's stop and think big picture for a bit.
Yeah. Well, and I have a little parable to lead into that. And one of the banks we work with had asked us to put together a strategy. Right. So give us some strategy ideas. And, the first thing I said, well, we need to have a conversation about goals first. Right. A strategy is, a plan to help you meet your goals.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have your goals or you don't have those, outlined, it's hard to put together a strategy. You put together tactics, which are how many times should we post on Facebook, or we should get our loan officer on LinkedIn, or we should run Google ads. But that's not a strategy. That's the tactics. The strategy is, hey, our bank wants to grow $8 million in loans this year. How can marketing support that? What's the plan for marketing to support it? And here at this conference, we're talking a lot about being deliberate.
Yep.
Putting together the plan and not getting that shiny object syndrome down the line, which I am that's one of my issues. Out of many is the shiny object syndrome. You write something down, and then a month or two later, you're like, oh no, what if we did this? But most of the time, if you just stick to the plan, be patient, it takes time to work, you'll get there.
Oh, and I think what we've also learned is the first step in that deliberateness is to pause.
Yeah.
And you literally got to, whether that is close your door, turn your phone off, for a little bit, or whether it's a group of you and other leaders there in the bank taking a lunch away or whatever. It's not always the opportunity to take off and go to a conference in Denver for 3 days. A lot of times it's just, hey, if we're going to do this, even around a campaign, right? You were talking about one of your clients that wanted to do something specific around a branch. Well, okay, so let's take a time out and do, take a pause and deliberate and ascertain what are those goals,
Right.
Oh, well, yeah, we want to run digital ads and do all these things. Well, okay, but what are we after? Is it community engagement? Is it right? Is it increasing loans? Is it 17 more checking account applicants per week? Is it what is it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you measure those things? So, every bank wants more community engagement, but what does that actually look like? Right? Do we need to be at more events? Do we need to have more signage? Or is it more digital brand awareness? Is it more commercial loan officers going and doing more door knocking? Like, what is that? Those are tactics, but it's like, what do those goals break down to?
Yeah.
And we can start thinking about the tactics that help hit those metrics.
Yeah. And then I think another important takeaway is part of that deliberateness, Dan, is, as you say, it's goals and then whether it's internally or working with marketing folks like us to ascertain the utilization of those tactics and what are the marketing plans and how is the campaign going to work. And then the other piece of that is check-ins along the way. So again, whether that's internally with an external team like us, is that depending on the goals and what the campaign process is that every week and we need to jump on a Zoom for 15 minutes? Or is it your internal team needs to, the third Thursday of every month, because this is an annual campaign that we're running for a new account opening or whatever the case may be. So whatever that is, it may sound simple, but I think the deliberateness of setting those check-in processes and meetings is really important.
And sticking to it, right? Not, like I was saying, not getting 2-3 weeks down the line and, thinking, oh, well, we need to meet more often or we need to meet less often or this tactic isn't working. Because oftentimes you don't, 4 weeks, 6 weeks isn't usually enough time to know if it's working.
Yeah.
So, stick to that plan. We did an exercise here at the conference of, mapping out all the activities that we do for our agencies for marketing and sales. And, it's kind of magical to map out each step, look at the flow.
Yep.
And then when you map that out, you start thinking about, well, how do I make little tweaks, right, to this system rather than how do I, what do I need a full new system? Right. Yep. I tend to think like, oh, there should be a better system here to do this. But really, like, often the stuff that makes the biggest difference is just a little tweak. Change your copy on this message or, send a letter at this point or make a phone call at this point. Little tiny things often make all the difference.
Absolutely. And, for those that, again, are in bank leadership, whether it's marketing director, whether it's a COO, CFO, whatever the case may be, that are accountable to the board of the bank and everyone, what they want to know is ROI.
Yeah.
So diving into a campaign process, again, whether it's something annualized or whether it's a short-term something around a new branch or whatever the case may be, just jumping in and trying all these things that we've always done, as opposed to stopping and mapping out that exactly what you said. And what is the process? What are the checkpoints? And how do we take those steps along the way to meet those goals? Yeah. Just the pause to do that and be deliberate about it on the front end is what's going to make it successful. And then everybody wins.
Yeah. 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 Like the process of, how many banks, raise your hands. Now we can't see you guys, but how many banks have really sat down to think like, how does a customer become a customer? Right. And that may be different for the retail deposit only customer, or the loan customer, the mortgage customer, or the business loan customer. But like for each of those, you could think through like, what are all the steps that lead up to that? Right. You need to have brand awareness. You need to have, if it's a commercial loan, a touch point with the loan officer. If it's a, retail deposit, it's brand awareness over many months. And also like something's wrong at your current bank and maybe an offer or an incentive. What are all those things that already work? And, if you can inventory all those, map them all out, and something magical happens when you write it down. Mm-hmm. And you have a discussion rather than just, talking about it in the hallway, but actually map it out. You get it all written down, and then you can better analyze it and make the little tweaks we're talking about. But also, here at the conference, we're talking about what are the 2X levers
There you go.
Right? So those little tweaks.
That was the pause moment. We're in the middle of it. And Dan and I were sitting together and we both looked at each other and we're like, okay, we've got to talk about 2X levers with our clients.
Yeah.
Yeah. And folks in the bank marketing world.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the idea is basically what little changes can you make that could 2X your customer inflow or your 2X your leads. And it's hard to just sit back and think about it in general. But if you can inventory everything, you can kind of methodically go through and look and, hey, what if we made this tweak? Let's try that.
Yeah. So I liked some of the examples that we were given in that. So say that you're doing the list that you were talking about and say, okay, we're running Facebook ads, we're doing SEM, we're doing, direct mail, and we're whatever. So you've got your list of all of these things. And when you start really evaluating, okay, well, these digital ads, we're creating conversions on a landing page on our site, and people were actually clicking to call the bank from that. And so that's working. And we see that that's working, and say we're spending $2,000 a month on those ads and we're getting those conversions. Okay. And as marketers, we're thinking, we've got to do so many different things. So, gosh, I've got to take time today and I've got to write a new blog and I've got to do all of this and I've got to do all of this. And you start looking at all that other time for content creation and motion and energy that you have to put into all of that. And it's how many conversions are you getting from that? Well, none, but it's great content. Right. Okay, well, and that is true and important. And that's authority to your audience. And that is important. But if you're spending $2,000 a month and you're getting this many conversions and you're getting loan applications or you're opening new accounts, what happens if we move that to $3,000 a month?
Yeah,
and do the exact same type? And then if the conversions continue to go up, then that's the 2X lever that we're talking about, right? Yeah,
I mean, it's in the day to day. It's so easy to get caught up in that stuff of like getting that post out. But if you have that inventory and you can like circle in bright red the 2X levers, like then you know what you need to prioritize.
Yeah,
and you can keep laser focus on those things. And if Facebook post falls off, here and there, it's not impacting your conversions.
There you go.
But that thing, find the thing that works and juice it up. And I mean, there is that entourage effect of, like you're saying, all the other stuff you do contributes to it.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't just like double your, landing page or double your ad spend, double the traffic to the landing page and forget everything else because it's going to, But,
still got to build the brand. Still got to do it. Right.
But it'll keep your focus on the things that are important.
That's right. So here's the takeaway from this, right? That we wanted to an actual exercise. So depending on where you're listening to this podcast, as soon as we're done here in a moment, pull out a sheet of paper and create a list. And the exercise that we were taking through that we suggest works very well is, just brainstorm. This isn't a number. It may be 5, it may be 10, it may be 20, but what are the list of all the tactics that you have been utilizing? Yeah. Correct? Yeah. And start with that. And no matter what it is, if it's training your team and your LPOs, if it's all the different things that marketing touches, and and the obvious, the direct mail, the ads, the whatever the case may be, and then take that list and evaluate, and then pull out your red pen.
Yeah.
And circle the 2 or 3 that you're like, we know this is working.
Right.
And it's something that we can 2X by whatever it may be. And if it's, phone calls to community members that participated in some event with you or whatever the case may be, and you're like, wow, that worked, then maybe the 2X is getting an assistant to help make more phone calls for you.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is Facebook ad spend or whatever it may be. Everyone's list is individual to them, but that's the deliberateness of it.
Right.
Yep.
Right. I think we were talking here too, when you've identified your 2X levers, it also just simplifies your deliberate list, right? Instead of, gives you focus. So if anyone's like me, I'm constantly sort of thinking of ideas. And at this conference here, I've probably written down 40 different things that I should do. But if you have the list that long, nothing's ever going to get done, right? So I'm going to go when this is over on the plane tonight. I'm going to go through and look at, hey, where What are the things that are going to make the biggest impact? And I'm going to pick 2 or 3 of them.
Yep.
Do those things.
And then is the next step, which is those 2 or 3 things. What is the budget?
Yep.
Who's going to do it? And by when?
Yeah. And how are you going to track metrics? What are the KPIs around that?
That's exactly right.
And when do you need to have a kind of an end, right? When do you stop and try the next 2 or 3 things? Or so if you have metrics and, who, what, when, where, why type of stuff tied to it, then, you have a framework that you can go back to.
There you go. Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, so it's not rocket science. It's not, you don't need a master's degree or a doctorate in marketing to figure this out. It's,
the biggest thing is just like the therapy session of take an hour away from your desk, like get out of the branch, go sit at a coffee shop and think through the stuff, right? Where there's not distractions. And that's probably easier at some banks and some branches than others, but like get into a headspace where you can think holistically about it and get everything down.
Yep. So campaign goals, and then this big list of everything that you're doing in marketing. And from that, wind it down to what are the 2X levers that you can pull.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And goals, we'll sum up like goals, inventory of your activities, and then you can start putting together a plan to tweak those activities, add new activities to help reach those goals. But I can't overestimate or, overemphasize the importance of writing it down, having a list, because you'll be able to go back to that quarter after quarter and think through what's working and what's not.
And from a results perspective as well, because others are going to be asking you or looking at how are we performing? Are we moving toward those goals, whether it's your board or whoever the case may be? And hey, just the logic of here are all the things that we do for marketing, and these are still important for branding, but we pulled these 2 or 3 2X levers, and here are the results that we got toward those goal sets. And it's pretty magical.
Yeah.
Simple, but magical. Yeah. So, well, what's fun about this is, and everyone listening knows this, when you get away to a conference and, or some type of training or something, and you come away, you're energized and you're motivated and you've got these great ideas. Like you said, sit on the plane tonight and go, man, these are the 3 things I'm about to do and seriously move the needle.
Yeah.
This is great. And if you hadn't come and taken the time out to do it, you probably would have just stayed busy in your day-to-day work and all of that and maybe run right past them. So that's the cool thing about that. And the main thing we wanted to do and record an episode here today to kind of pass that energy along.
Yeah. I think it's the $6 hotel coffee.
That's got to be what it is.
That really energizes you.
that didn't hurt either. That's right. That's right.
Well, the other thing I had, we didn't talk about this before the episode, but as we're talking through the framework, I think we could probably pretty easily provide a little template to just help you kind of map that out rather than just having a blank sheet of paper. So we'll see if anyone's listening to the end of the episode.
There you go.
Email us contact@bankmarketingshow.com. We'll send you out a kind of a template that you can use to do that kind of activity inventory.
There you go. And if you're not somewhere that you can jot that down, go to our website, bankmarketingshow.com. Look for this episode. Depending on when this posts, it'll be the most recent one at the top. And in there, we'll have that contact information. I would love to do that and send you this template that is actually going to make it, just step 1, 2, 3 process for you to really utilize and make a huge difference either with a campaign set or even your annual, marketing goals.
Yeah.
So it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll share that with you. So reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you, get engaged with you, share ideas, those types of things. So good plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, great having you all with us today. We're going to go back into the conference here and drink some more expensive coffee and strategize.
There you go. There you go. Enjoyed it with you, Dan. See you again soon, man.
Likewise.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us. To go deeper or get access to some of the valuable nuggets from today's show, go to bankmarketingshow.com. There you'll find episodes, links to resources, and much more. Be sure to subscribe wherever you find your podcasts. And join us next time.